new to the concept of frequency therapy. Can you break it down, like what it actual is and how does it interact with the body on a cellular level?
Everything in the world has a frequency. We know that. That's a principle of the universe. I learned that we can absorb frequencies, acoustical frequencies, through our skin and our bones.
If you love diving into the latest wellness secrets on the podcast, then you're going to want to join my exclusive weekly newsletter. Get insider wellness tips you won't hear anywhere else. Be the first to know about my upcoming fasting workshops because let's be real, fasting is the secret weapon for surviving perimenopause. Access my weekly essentials, tools, and biohacks to help you thrive in midlife. I promise to make it worth your while, straight to the point, no fluff, just powerful tips to help you feel your best every single week. Don't miss out. Sign up now at thewelldrop.com. Let's take your wellness to the next level together. Welcome back to The Well Drop, where we simplify wellness, demystify midlife, and help you reclaim your energy one drop at a time. Today's guest is someone whose mission is rooted in both personal experience and powerful transformation. When Linda Bamber's mother and sister were diagnosed with breast cancer just 6 months apart, she didn't go straight to genetic testing. She went into research mode, diving deep into prevention, breast health, and what women could do differently to reclaim their power over their wellness. That journey sparked her first wellness movement, BRASS, which is known for Breast Research Awareness and Support, a nationwide community and education platform she founded to help women understand their bodies, embrace prevention, and make more informed health decisions. But Linda didn't stop there. Her passion for proactive, non-invasive healing eventually led her to explore the power of sound frequency therapy and to co-found WAVwatch, a wearable device that delivers therapeutic frequencies directly through the wrist. It's a wearable frequency-based device that's quietly helping people around the world sleep better, feel calmer, reduce inflammation, ease pain, and support their body's natural healing without another supplement or a script or an appointment. Yep, we're talking healing through frequency. This isn't woo-woo. It's rooted in decades of science, and we're breaking it all down. In this episode, we'll dive into what frequencies are and how they interact with your body, how the WAVwatch works and why it's like having a wellness toolkit on your wrist, the connection between frequency, inflammation, sleep, stress, and hormone balance, and why healing can and should be simple, supportive, and part of your daily rhythm. If you're someone who's curious about wearable tech, loves an out-of-the-box approach to wellness, or just wants to feel more in control of their health without another pill or protocol, this one's for you. So let's dive in. Linda, thank you so much for joining us on The Well Drop today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. You basically have said so much. It's really great to hear.
Well, you have done so much. It is not easy to break it down into just a few sentences. I mean, you are a trailblazer, you're an inventor, you are a researcher, an advocator. You are so many things all in one, Linda, and it's an honor to have you on The Well Drop. I think the most interesting place to start is really, we can first start with just your own personal story and what has been your journey and kind of then what led you to create this WAVwatch.
And I think you said part of it. You mentioned that both my mother and sister had breast cancer at the same time. But the part that was missing is that the medical community wanted me to just have a double mastectomy and go on with my life, and they hadn't done any testing. So that's why, as a teacher, I thought I could do something different. And that's why I, dived into researching and looking at different things. And then I ended up getting an ND certification. I was already a certified nutritionist, and just changing and learning more and more, and then sharing it with women through my new business, BRAS, Breast Research Awareness and Support. And so it just got to be overwhelming. All the natural things that I learned could be so helpful for women. And I just kept saying, oh, this is kind of getting overwhelming. There's too many bottles of pills. Even though they're natural, I'm still not a pill person, And so, it was like, God, tell me what to do. And seriously, I'm looking up going, God. And I just get to frequencies, go to frequencies. And so there was a frequency for every single problem that I was concerned about with women's breast health. And I'd worked with thousands of women by that time. And
Now,
so,
how did you figure that out? I mean, that's pretty powerful. What were the issues that you were first seeing in your practice with the women?
yes, and that's what to me is so interesting is they are not educating us that there are 8 teeth, two up and two down on each side that can drain into your breast and be
Oh,
connected with our breast health. They don't bother to tell us that. They don't tell us that E. coli or Epstein-Barr virus can be connected to our breast health. We don't know about our emotions being so connected, and injuries. I mean, I even had a lady get bit by a horse and it hadn't healed correctly, you know. And so I actually found frequencies for natural healing and wound healing and, RNA, DNA, and that kind of thing. So it's interesting that these frequencies were actually measured over 100 years ago. So if I say the word Nikola Tesla, you know who I'm talking about. He
right.
started that whole idea. And then someone named Dr. Royal Raymond Rife is now known as the father of frequencies because he did more and more and more work. So these tools have been around, but they were actually outlawed by the American Medical Association. The AMA was in its startup at that time, and
Yeah.
frequencies couldn't survive with the quest to change to medication and pills. That's
Right.
a
I
nice
mean,
way to
that's sort
say
of
it.
like the underworld that most people don't know about is
Yeah,
that there are these powerful natural healing modalities that then sort of got like boxed into like, oh, sort of like weirdo
they're too woo
treatments.
woo, and they weren't. Actually, the pills and things were more.
Go more woo woo, right? At
Yep.
the
Hmm.
time. And then they
Yes.
totally like flipped the scripts through the different agencies to say, and push more medication, which
You said it.
everyone is just so much more comfortable doing at this point. I mean, we've been like fully conditioned into it,
Mhm.
but I'm sure as you've seen now there's cracks in that system in and of itself. And sometimes I think, medication is great maybe in an acute situation, but for sort of the everyday wellness, preventable wellness, that's not where it necessarily shines. Would you agree with
Exactly.
that?
So there is so much that we can do on our own and by ourselves and through the grace of God who's given us all of these things if we would just open our eyes and use it, you know.
So, for those who are new to the concept of frequency therapy, can you break it down, like what it actual is and how does it interact with the body on a cellular level?
I'd be glad to. So basically, I am using acoustical frequencies on the back of there's a speaker on the back that touches your skin. And this was very important to me because I learned that we can absorb frequencies, acoustical frequencies, through our skin and our bones.
Oh,
And the concept basically is that every cell has about 70 receptors, and they will start to vibrate when they feel, a sound or a vibration. And then that makes the whole cell vibrate. Then that makes the next cell vibrate, the next and the next, and then it zips through your
oh, it's
body.
like a domino effect.
Yes,
Wow.
faster than the speed of sound. We know that. We know frequencies move through water very, very quickly. So our body is the same way. And this was really important to me because I actually am a deaf person. I'm completely deaf in one ear. And so that was a little bit of adjustment that I had to make during my life. They didn't know that I was deaf until the third grade.
Oh my goodness.
So I had made something, some kind of adjustments so that people didn't realize that. And I just wanted to be able to make sure that the tool I was developing could be really that I could use it. And so I was so glad to find out that it moves through your skin and your bones. Your ears are good, but they are not necessary for this particular tool.
Wow. And so, how many different frequencies are there that
So
can help?
literally there are thousands and thousands of frequencies, and there are books about this thick that you can go through to find different frequencies. But the way Royal Raymond Rife worked was with a large machine, that cost, 15 to 20,000, whatever, it's a little bit variable. And you had to set at the machine and you had to hold bars and, all kinds of things like that. You had to basically have a degree, to be
Yeah.
able to use some of these tools. So I wanted something that was just very easy to use and
And so
something
then
that everybody could access.
if you love diving into the latest wellness secrets on the podcast, then you're going to want to join my exclusive weekly newsletter. Get insider wellness tips you won't hear anywhere else. Be the first to know about my upcoming fasting workshops because let's be real, fasting is the secret weapon for surviving perimenopause. Access my weekly essentials, tools, and biohacks to help you thrive in midlife. I promise to make it worth your while, straight to the point, no fluff, just powerful tips to help you feel your best every single week. Don't miss out. Sign up now at thewelldrop.com. Let's take your wellness to the next level together. So in the watch, which I have one and I love it, and I actually put them on. Is this something that is safe for all ages?
Definitely.
Age limit? I mean, it's just a frequency. It's like if you go to a concert, that's technically you're
Right.
listening to some sound frequencies, I would assume,
Mhm.
that's vibrating at your body. Is that different, like going to a concert versus the type of frequency that's maybe in the watch? Like, how should someone think about that?
Well, I think you've kind of hit on a perfect phrasing there because we've all gone to a concert or we've all listened to music on the radio. And when our favorite song comes on, we turn it up and then we start moving, and then our countenance changes. We know that music or sound can affect our health and our
Yeah.
bodies. So everybody has had that experience, but we're trying to get that experience closer to them so that they are actually using or feeling specific frequencies that can go into your body and recalibrate it, retune it, rebalance it, make some changes. Now, I can't say cure, any of those kind of words, but it
Making a shift.
definitely, pardon?
It's making a shift of some
There
sort.
you go, a shift. So those are the ways that frequencies can work very easily. And another phrase is resonance. Everything in the world has a frequency. We know that. That's a principle of the universe, that everything has a frequency and a vibration. And so what they are finding, or what they found, what Nikola Tesla found, is that when we have a matching frequency, that when those two frequencies that are the same frequency, when they meet, they realign, they, self-amplify, different things happen. And all we know in our simple system is that an opera singer can sing a high note and break a glass. That's how we that's our
Something
connection to it.
happens. And also
It's
sort
like,
of when you walk into a room or if you meet a person, and either you can sometimes vibe with a person or not. And no one's really, people will think about it more from an energy standpoint. Like, oh,
yes,
that energy was off. But maybe they're not realizing it's probably the frequency that creates the energy.
yes.
And either it's a match or a mismatch, maybe.
I mean, you're saying it very well, that we all know instinctively about frequencies. We're just not putting it out there and actually using it. It's
Right,
just
we're not
kind of
using that
behind the
term.
scenes.
We're not thinking about that.
Definitely.
Now, since there's thousands of frequencies, so you were able to create this watch, put frequencies in the watch, and basically the watch does dub as an actual watch too. I just want to be
Yes,
clear
it
that you
functions
can
as a
tell
watch.
time, but then there is a whole, it's like a screen where you get to choose the different frequencies. And now, is that based upon an organ system? Like, how are these frequencies
So
set up?
I've spent quite a bit of time trying to organize them so it was the easiest way to use them. And, like I said, there were books and you're kind of thinning it down and get the most important ideas that people can use for basic daily ideas. So, I did put a lot of frequencies into organ systems. So according to the organ, you can use them that way. But I also have folders for kids, and back to school time. So we know that kids are going to be inundated with different viruses. They might have problems sleeping. They're going to have respiratory problems. And so all of those ideas are in a label. So I have about 50, or excuse me, 146 different categories that you can pick from. And then there's categories just for women. How important is that? So
Amazing.
we have, bladder, we have categories for breast health, several categories for that. And also our reproductive system and that kind of thing. And hair loss, your hair, healthy hair, that kind of thing.
Yes. I
And
always talk about hair. I think that that is really, I never would have thought until we met about frequencies for hair.
yeah, I mean, until I, went through and saw the plethora of frequencies that they had actually measured, I wasn't aware of it either. But I've had several testimonies. And of course, I'm not saying I have a double blind study, but I've had several testimonies of women whose hair has started to grow back or, it's changed greatly, that kind of thing. So that's been
Since
really
you've worked
exciting.
with so many women, I think in the watch, you mentioned that you have like different women's wellness stuff. Does it also affect like your hormones, sleep? Like, what are the different things that you have seen? It's more evidence based with your women because you were focused a lot on breast health, but obviously, breast health is not the only thing. I'm sure
Yes.
they
So
come to you with many
hormones
issues.
are
Like, what are the
huge.
main things that you've seen that this has sort of helped with your
Well,
clients?
I think the most exciting thing as I was developing the prototype, because I work with breast health, I had several women come in who actually helped me test it. And again, I'm not saying this was a double blind study, but I am saying that 9 women gave me testimonies that their breast lumps had changed drastically in just 30 minutes of wearing the WAVwatch.
What?
So a couple women gave me the testimonies that it saved them from surgery. So, I mean, you can't even believe that. And then I
Wow.
also had 30 women, and I think there were a couple guys in that actual one, um, 30 people who tested it for kidney stones. And
Yeah.
in about 30 minutes, their pain had decreased, and we did a urine sample, and it was full of all kinds of flack, different colors. One lady had 5 rice-sized granules, in her sample. And, so then I knew I really had something, and
Right.
I started working more and more and really got it developed. But that's really kind of important because we already know about lithotripsy, which is the medical version of getting rid of kidney stones using ultrasound.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of, they try to make it simple, but they've kind of overdone it in another aspect because they're using every frequency that they can, put together. And this is according to Scientific American. They've used every frequency and they pound you, right on the area where that kidney stone is supposed to be. And of course, there's lots of bruising and pain and bleeding. And, the list goes on and on with
That sounds
people,
very
where
intense.
in 30 minutes, I have had some results using acoustical frequencies. So there are finely, tuned, precisely measured. So that does make a big difference. Isn't that kind of interesting?
That's pretty mind blowing. Yeah, I was just thinking, so if you're wearing the watch, you're tuning your frequencies. Is there, sometimes is it there's too much of a good thing? Is there a way to have it that you've overstimulated your
A
cells from
couple times
frequency?
I've had people who embarrassingly told me that they were running it for constipation and it turned into diarrhea, so that
So
they
that's
may have
overstimulation.
overstimulated themselves. But,
Right.
really, for the thousands of watches that are out there, there is not a lot of back lash on that because these frequencies are natural and they just go through your body. And that's how our bodies are made. We listen to frequencies between the 20 and 20,000 hertz all day long and all night long. Our bodies are reacting to noises also. So
And
there,
also, I do always say that the body is so intelligent. I am a firm believer, and this falls into that category that the body is able to heal itself when given the right tools to do so. And it's harder and harder in our environment today because we are pounded with so many toxins.
Mhm.
Um, but with sound and the frequency, that maybe if you're already optimized, I think of it from like an organ level, if you optimize that, maybe that extra frequency will just go somewhere else where it needs to go.
Yes. Or if it's not needed in the body, it just moves right on through the body.
Right.
So it only
Exactly.
connects with what it needs to in the body that has a like frequency. And just recently, some more, the FDA, and you can see this on PubMed, I believe there was a study done on using histotripsy. And so that is sound frequencies for liver cancer.
Oh,
And they
wow.
have
And
okayed
more
that.
is it's starting to
Mhm.
come out. Now, after people
Mhm.
listen to this episode, they're going to start to see it because
Yes.
it's starting to come out of the woodworks, even though
Mhm.
this is nothing new and it's been around for a very long time.
And you can look around and you'll see several new tools, smaller tools, actually, kind of like this, that might be something that you wear on your wrist. And that was something that I was very concerned about when I developed my product is I wanted a very multi-purpose product. I'm a very frugal person, and it doesn't make sense to have a whole bunch of tools when you could
Yeah.
have one tool that does everything. But people have a hard time believing that. They cannot believe that one frequency can do so, or one frequency tool can do so much. But that's because people are putting other tools out there, and you might pay $180 to have something that you wear on one wrist for calming, and then you wear another tool on the other wrist for sleep. And then you can buy another tool that you wear on your wrist that's for repelling mosquitoes. You can buy another tool that just works with women's premenstrual cycle, or cramps, basically. And so you could have so many tools, it would be unbelievable. But the WAVwatch has 1,100 ideas on it.
I mean, it's the most comprehensive thing I've come across, which is why I'm so
Mhm.
excited to share it with our community. Now, if somebody were to get the watch, like how do you think about, do you need to wear it every day? Is this an everyday tool? Is this a tool just to wear a couple of times a week to optimize? I mean, you have so many frequencies, so you could probably pick multiple
Well,
frequencies all
yeah,
day.
because I have so many frequencies, people have gotten addicted to it. And I hate to say that as a word. Maybe they are frequency fanatics.
Yes.
Actually have over.
Frequency obsessed. Well, it
Yes,
is exciting. It's
yes.
pretty cool when you
And
start
so,
that.
some people will wear it all day long, except when they're charging it. Now, it may not be working, but they'll have it on their wrist because it is a wristwatch also, or keeps
Yep.
time for them. But a lot of people will wear it at night for different things. And we have an excellent sleep frequency set on there that can actually run about 11 hours. And you can actually select the time that you go to bed, and you just touch the time if it's 11 o'clock or 12, whatever, or 10, and you touch that time, and then every hour it change frequencies, because all night long your body has different hormones, the vagus nerve is functioning, different organ systems functions, like the liver functions more from 1 to 3, the lungs are more in charge of your body from 3 to 5. And those are kind of ideas from the Chinese body clock and that kind of thing. But still, that's what we've done, is take all those ideas, and so every hour the watch is working on your body. And then sometimes when people get up, they'll just change the frequency and they'll play harmonize so that they start their day off very relaxed. Or what I've been running lately has been bone support, because I've been having some trouble with some teeth, and I'm trying to see if I can, get that stabilized a little bit. So you have different problems at different times. And so people do wear it quite a lot.
Now, is there EMFs in it? Because I always am thinking about the wearable devices, and most people, a lot of my clients, when they're wearing them, I always say, make sure at night, turn off the Bluetooth, turn off your Wi-Fi, airplane mode your phone. And then in the morning, you can charge the device. So, because this is something that can run overnight, what are those implications from either Bluetooth and EMF standpoint?
We do not have any EMFs on this. In fact, we have frequencies to mitigate the problems that EMFs and radiation have caused in your body. So, this is a tool that the sound is made just on this watch. It is not connected to anything at all. There's no EMF connection. And I'm very proud of that, because I worked very hard for that, because that's a big concern for people, and it should be.
Yeah. And so, how would you recommend using the watch as a daily habit?
Uh, I wear it at night for sleep. And then during the day, I wear it according to what problem I might have. Like sometimes, I don't know, for some reason, I got a headache, and so I'll look down and play headache. I don't have to have a bottle of pills with me or anything like that. Or, if I happen to, fall down and trip, I could be wearing something for first aid or for taking care of pains of all different kinds. So we have a setting for upper joint pain and lower joint pain, and people swear by those, if they've had any kinds of trouble at all.
Pain
And
is a
so,
huge one.
yeah,
We get a
pain
lot of
is
pain,
huge.
especially for women in midlife. But I'm even thinking for my parents, actually. I think
Yes.
it's such a nice gift for them because actually I'm in the process. I'm going to be doing a whole overhaul with my father who loves to just buy supplements online. And I just went over there yesterday. I'm like, Dad, we are going through this. Tell me why you're taking any of these. Let's just start there. And he goes, I just want to feel good. But instead of taking a pill, like the best way is really just throw on the watch, tune yourself according to whatever it is that you're feeling, right? Because everyone's feeling different things at different times. We are complicated beings,
Yes.
but you've made it really simple and accessible by just picking, starting with an organ system, picking something, and then just it's a one-click button, and that's it. You almost forget that it's even doing something because it
Yes,
is your
because it
watch.
doesn't make a
Right.
sound. The sound is being absorbed. Now, I will say if you have it a little loose on your wrist, and if it flops, you're going to hear the sound when your
Yeah,
hand
you hear
moves
like a
around.
little like buzz
Yeah,
sound.
but try to
Right.
just tighten it up on your wrist just a little bit. But there's usually no sound from it. Your body is absorbing that. And some other things that we can work on are something like Lyme disease. I have lots of frequencies for
Oh,
that.
that's
And
an interesting
parasite,
one.
those are huge. And then all kinds of detox, which is, again, a huge problem in our world today. And
Yeah.
then inflammation. So that's one of the biggest words that we use anymore is inflammation. And so that folder is actually called Wave, just first wave. And you can play all of that. It kind of gives you directions to play all of that before you get started to kind of clean your body out. And people are not realizing how many things we just carry around because the medical community doesn't connect that parasites are so connected with our health problems.
Yeah. They're not connecting the dots. And also what's interesting is that these frequencies, they can just you can press a repeat. So you don't have to, it's not like you have to sit there and monitor your watch every
R-
day, right? You
Right.
just have to maybe in the morning, wake up, choose what you want, and you can hit repeat and like just set it and forget it.
Yes. And if you wanted to, you could make um, favorites list, and put different things in. There's 6 different favorites lists that you can make, and it's just a click of the button. So, if you have grandchild number 1 coming and he has a cold, you can, set something for him, and then grandchild number 2, you could set something for them, or whatever you want to. So it is very versatile. Several people could use it. And I shouldn't forget about saying your pets can use it. I have
Oh, I didn't
people
think
that have
about
actually ordered
that.
the WAVwatch for their pets.
Really? And they put
They,
them on like their leg or something, or how do they put it on?
a lot of times we'll send them a separate wristband or 2 different wristbands. So they make a longer
Bigger.
collar that'll go around and Velcro around the animal if it's safe,
Wow.
if the person thinks it's safe. But also, frequencies will move from you to another person. Or if you're holding, your dog, your little dog on your lap and you're playing anxiety, your dog is also absorbing those frequencies.
That's fascinating. It's actually perfect segue to my next question, which is, there's a lot of skepticism around alternative wellness tools. So what would you say to someone who's curious but unsure about whether or not frequencies actually work?
Curious, I'm not sure I heard you exactly, but
Yes,
curious
like if
about
a
whether they
person is
should.
curious, like, oh, this sounds interesting, but I'm kind of skeptical and I like don't really believe it works. Like,
Well,
what
we
would you
we
say to
do
them?
have a 30-day trial period, and I hope by then you're convinced. But if you'll just look on the website, which is WAVwatch.com, You can see all kinds of testimonies. You can, like I said, use it yourself and try it out. A lot of times the women are the ones who will try something first, and then their husband goes, "Oh, let me try it." Oh, it does work. You
Yeah.
know?
I love that it's a tool that I like to try to make wellness a little accessible. And of course, the tool, it does come at a cost, right? But it is something that you can share with the family and
Mhm,
easily do so. Like everyone could just choose a day to wear it differently or do a
mhm.
half day, and at home the kids come home from school, they can put it on. And the fact that there's no EMFs in it, that is huge to
It's
me.
huge. Yeah.
Everybody wearing these other wearable devices, you're walking around most time with Bluetooth in you all day long, and no one's thinking about talking about frequencies, like how that frequency is so disruptive to your natural rhythm, and over time that compounds and that will set off its own cascade of things, but no one's connecting those dots.
No. And I'll tell you what I have discovered in my office just working with women, or I haven't, maybe it's not a discovery, but I've seen, so it fits in with what you're saying. But I did have a woman come in who I did a thermogram on, which is an infrared imaging system for breast health. And literally, they had worn their cell phone in their bra, and you could almost see the outline of the cell phone. And they had 3 kinds of breast cancer underneath that. Okay, another one that scares me to death is our senior citizens wear these lifeline alerts. We don't think
Yes.
about them being connected. And so I had this 84-year-old lady come in and she couldn't sit up straight. She was like this. So her alert hung this way.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, she had developed breast cancer under that alert,
That quickly.
exactly under that alert. And then
Wow.
I had another young gal come in who had changed jobs and she needed her cell phone on hand. Well, she put it in her front pocket. And within, again, 6 to 8 months, she has a huge ovarian cyst or cyst that had to be taken out. And so
They
when,
do always say, "Don't wear your phone on you," and I am guilty as anyone else. I
yeah,
stick it in my back pocket sometimes if I don't have a purse on me,
yeah.
um,
And then I
but it's
also
your
have
advice,
pictures of women
authenticity.
who have held their cell phone up to their ears for 15 minutes, which we all do on a call. And that is just as hot as can be. So, hence why they're training 1,000% more medical doctors for brain problems, brain
Yes,
specialists, because we're frying our brain.
I know.
So,
Oh gosh.
I can see that firsthand. So,
It's overwhelming, but I think this is, sometimes we have to hear these hard things because this is the harsh reality of really what's out there, and especially as women and as mothers, sometimes we don't necessarily want to help ourselves, but we are totally willing to help our children, our husbands, and we put ourselves last. So even if this is the first step to help someone else, it'll then start to trickle down to you. But I always like to say we need to put ourselves first on that to do list. So buy it for yourself. And then I'm sure others in your household are going to be curious and just see what it is and throw it on and check it out and see if they feel a difference. Now, usually, sometimes with these things, I always say, like, it doesn't smack you in the face, the change. Like, have you had someone come in and be like, I guess maybe with pain would be a perfect example, or with sleep, that they came in, they weren't feeling well. You said they put it on for 30 minutes and then there was a shift that they felt?
yes, uh, it seems like the frequencies work quickly. And I didn't know why when I first was developing it until I, did some more research. And what they've proven is that there are different kinds of frequencies. Obviously, there's chemical frequencies from our pills and our prescriptions and things like that. And then there are just frequencies from sound waves. Well, the chemical waves move through our body so slow that they move through the body about a foot a second and the body burns them up. So we just absorb 2% of them.
Yep.
2%. Okay. Well, the sound waves move through your body so fast that they're 100% absorbed versus
Um,
2%. So that's why you have to take pills over and over and over again, But sound frequencies move very, very quickly. So usually we see something very quick compared to a pill that someone might have tried for a particular problem, if it's going
Okay.
to work. And sometimes you might need to try a couple frequencies, but it's not going to, cost you any more or take very much more time at all. You might try several different ideas, if a particular one doesn't work. So, for example, in the women's breast health, there were frequencies just for breast lumps. But I found out that when I worked with women, if I also played something connected with inflammation and pain and trauma, we have trauma, also detoxing the liver, detoxing the lymph nodes. When I put those all together, that's when those breast lumps seem to go away faster. So that's what I've
Wow.
done on the WAVwatch for you. I've made sure they were all combined. So you just touch a button and you get all of those ideas at one time.
And that's it. What frequency is that one?
It's all of those frequencies all together.
Oh,
So
you've
it's
already put them
I've
together.
already put them together. And another way to explain it, being kind of silly, but I also have a frequency that's called after party support. I see everybody laughs and they know
It's a good
immediately.
one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody's throwing up. Somebody's, diarrhea. Somebody has a headache. Somebody is dehydrated. Somebody. So I have all of those ideas in that folder. So you just touch after party support and it covers all of those. So
And what
that's
about
why it seems to work.
for some other midlife things that we always give? Somebody's burnt out, if they're bloated, they feel like nothing is working that used to work. Can the Wave Watch become their secret wellness hack?
Well, there's a lot of variation in all of those ideas. But again, you can try more than one idea. And so a lot of times, we need some brain support when we're feeling exhausted. It may not just be physical, it may be something, brain wise or
Yeah.
maybe emotion too. So if you play through emotions, it's a lot easier to play through the emotions than it is to go to the doctor and get an appointment and set up something and they give you a pill, and you may have waited for 2 months. Well, if it's on the Wave Watch, you just touch a button and you have a variety of things to try. So I also have frequencies for weight loss and a lot of metabolic support. Or maybe you've been told that your thyroid is part of your exhaustion problem, or you're, not feeling very peppy, lots of different ways so that you can work with all of those frequencies and try a variety of ideas. Much better than a variety of pills, right?
I love that. I mean, really, Linda, thank you for creating something so powerful. I love it. I've been using it, and I think it's a great tool to have in your toolbox, and every household should have one because why not? Like, really,
Yeah.
why not? And it might down the road end up having you save so much time, effort, money if you're putting the power back into people's hands. So I think it's such a powerful tool, and I'm so excited to have you are the first guest to talk about frequencies on the Well Drop. And in order to close out this conversation, what is one drop of wellness wisdom you like to leave with our
I'm sorry, I
listeners?
didn't hear that.
What is one drop of wellness wisdom you like to leave with our listeners today?
Well, I don't have to talk about the Weight Watch all the time, but what I do say is combine it with making sure you're getting there enough minerals. And the other thing that we've been steered away from is minerals and salt. So we've been told not to take salt, to stay away from it, all of that kind of rigmarole. When we know that ancient cultures fought wars over salt, they paid wages in salt. The list is just endless of how they use salt. And so put salt back into your life. I take at least a teaspoon a day of a salt, and I use an unrefined sea salt called Redmond's.
Yeah, I like
Different salts
Redmond's.
have different minerals because they're different colored, and they never
Yeah.
teach us that.
No.
And so, what I found for women in that premenopause stage, is that the Himalayan salt is really the best salt for them. And women my age who have already, are postmenopausal, the Redmond's real salt has the best mineral support for us.
This
So
is
there.
great. I love that. So just a teaspoon a day,
Mhm.
put it in your water because I get questions all the time. What electrolyte do you like? Do you like electrolytes? And I actually don't use those powders. I used to years
No.
ago.
I don't like a
when
lot
I
of stuff like
started
that. But, you
cleaning it
want the
up.
best salt that you can get, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it. They tell us it raises our blood pressure. But, what's the first thing that happens when somebody has a heart attack and they come, in an ambulance? They give you salt. It's in there. Saline, you know, it's just crazy how they tell us
Yeah.
not to do one thing. And then that's the thing that they use to rescue us, you
It's
know.
confusing, but thank you for shedding light on that. I think we all have Himalayan salt pretty much in our kitchen. And so drop the powders, just do a teaspoon a day. That's
Yeah.
it.
And, do a little bit in the morning or throughout the day, or, I put a half a teaspoon in the morning or in the evening, just whatever method works for you. And there's lots of ways to take salt, but get the salt in, get a larger amount than we've been told.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on the Well Drop, Linda. It was a pleasure to have you.